Alright guys, I know I haven't posted in over a year and shit because, disclaimer, I didn't even have any good stories to tell. All the stories were kind of like mediocre stories, but like I got way more awesome stories to tell now. And I think I'm going to be posting way more now, guys. Without further ado, let me just get onto this epic story. Now by the title, you guys already know that this story is about the first time I ever tried reefer, the devil's lettuce. And that time, man, that shit was crazy because at that age I was like 13, and I wanted to try like a substance already, like alcohol or something, something to feel different. And because like I already felt sober my whole life, and I was like, how is it to be something different other than sober? Now, there's my first time smoking and my first time actually getting high. Because I noticed that with every new smoker, like, they never really inhale the smoke, like they suck the smoke and they blow it out as soon as possible without it getting to their lungs. Like, you're supposed to inhale before you actually blow out. And I remember every time I would test that, I would just blow out the smoke through my nose, like, just to make sure that I got it out through my lungs. Because I remember when my friends, like, when they would say, oh, could I, like, hit the pen and shit, like, they wouldn't even inhale and shit, like, they would just blow out as soon as possible. And I always tell them, like, inhale it, but, like, they never listen and shit. And they think they're getting high, and they pretend to get high, like, how everybody does. Like, that's how I was. Because I remember when my first time smoking, I found this weird fucking joint, right? And it was probably boof-ass weed because it didn't even smell like weed. It smelled like fucking, like, wood or whatever. And I remember just, like, hitting that joint and pretending I got high. It was just, like, a dumb experience. And another time, because this happened multiple instances where I would try the, like, weed, like, all the time, not all the time, but, like, I would try to try it, And I remember my brother at the time was also trying to, like, experiment with, like getting high and shit. And, like, he looked up, what plants can you get high off of, like, in your backyard. And that shit's retarded because he found, like, this one plant called mullein. And that when you smoke it, like, it doesn't even get you high, It gets you just calm and shit. It's just, like, I don't know, like a tea or something. It doesn't even get you that high, It was dumb. And I remember he pranked me by, like, saying he got weed from this one kid called RIL. That's what we called him and shit. And, like, I remember just, like, being surprised. Like, I was excited, I was like, yo, you got weed? And that shit didn't even look like weed. It didn't even smell like weed. It wasn't weed, guys. It was just some plant he found from the backyard. So that day I remember getting excited and shit. Like, we were about to roll it up, and it didn't even smell like it. It was still moist, like weed is supposed to be, like, kind of like rip apart and shit, not like all mushy. It's not supposed to be mushy at all. So I remember, like, just mushing it and putting it in this paper, right? Like, it was art paper. And I remember, like, just fucking rolling that shit and being excited. It didn't smell like weed at all. And we went in the backyard. We sparked that up, and we looked like retards because we were just smoking some backyard plant, bro. It was retarded. And as every first time smoking, I would pretend to get high, like when I didn't. And I guess that was a placebo effect for my brother because him thinking I got high, he thought he was gonna get high too, But, like, I just kept saying I was calm, and a bunch of, like, just saying I was calm and shit, not real high. So yeah, that's, like, my first time ever experimenting. Well, not like, well, like, just trying to smoke it, but, like, this is my first time getting high now. And this part is, like, funny because, like, I remember every time I would get it, like, I would never inhale and shit, the annoying problem, So when I finally got it, I was like, nah, today's gonna be the day I actually do it right, like, I'm gonna actually do this right. And I remember just, like, preparing myself and, like, like, this is gonna be cool, like, I was trying to wait for the perfect moment. And that perfect day came too because I remember my parents had to go, like, somewhere for, like, 3 hours or some shit. And that was, like, the perfect time because I remember, like, the smell was gonna go away. I was gonna take a shower. It was gonna be perfect that day. And I remember when I went, like, I went to get a can of shit and I poked it, the good old technique with the can. And I remember I went in the garage in the back, and I was like, I gotta fucking do this, because if I don't, like, I don't know when I'm gonna get high, and I don't think I'm ever gonna get high. So I grabbed the can, I went inside the garage, and I sparked that shit up. And I actually felt the smoke going inside my lungs this time, because it felt harsh as fuck, you know, like, especially out of a tinfoil can. That shit has like a thin layer of plastic and shit. And I remember my brother caught me, and I was like, fuck. But I just went inside the house to throw away the can, you know, to get rid of the evidence. And as I went outside, the effects like just started getting very strong. Like, I remember everything looking yellow, everything looking funny and vibrant, and like it looked like textbook Mexico and like Breaking Bad and shit, you know, like that fucking yellow color. Everything looked like a dream. It was just funny, you know, like. And I went to take a shower to get rid of the smell. And I remember feeling like I was at a waterfall. Like, as the water was like dripping, I felt like I was in my room, like a bunch of different places, you know. And everything was exaggerated. Like, everything was funny. I was screaming inside the restroom, being like, "Yo, yo, this feels like a dream. I can't believe this. I'm like in my room right now, even though I wasn't." And my brother, like, for some reason, he didn't believe me. Like, we both thought the effects were gonna be not like this at all, you know. Like, it just felt like a total dream and shit. Like, and everything felt fake, you know. And it was crazy, because I remember my brother also told me, "Yo, you could dry your hair in like this stove." And we both had long hair at the time, and the fire was evaporating the water off his hair very quick. And I remember being like, "Oh shit, let me do that." And as I dipped my hair in like the fire, that shit burned off, man, because I remember just seeing a bunch of small hairs everywhere. It smelled like burnt, and I didn't really care. I was like, "Yo, this is awesome, man." Like, you don't really care, like. And I remember just thinking I was gonna be bald, but like, it was not the biggest problem. And we were watching Breaking Bad, and that shit was funny, because I couldn't even focus on anything they were like saying. Like, I was making fun of the show, I was making fun of how they looked. Like, I couldn't understand anything that was going on. And like, I felt the high, like, still like at night, when it was like fucking like the afterglow. And overall, it was like a crazy experience, man. Like, it was my first time feeling like high, you know. Like, I think I actually got drunk before this, but it was like kind of buzzed. But this was way more intenser, you know. And that shit was fire. And that wraps up this video. If you guys like it, give it a fat thumbs up. And if you want more crazy story times, subscribe. Peace.